Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Words on Bathroom Walls. Words on Bathroom Walls is a 2020 teenage drama about Adam, a teenager who is in his senior year of high school who is expelled after a schizophrenic episode. Once at his new Catholic school, he is aiming to just get through the rest of the year in order to meet his dream of going to culinary school in the fall. Along the way, he meets a young girl named Maya, and as their friendship begins to blossom, both of their personal lives begin to surface. This was another one of those online advanced screenings that has been taking place in the COVID era, and it is definitely one of those cases where I knew nothing about this film heading into this viewing. Just from the poster, I assumed it was something about bullying, and it definitely was some sort of teenage romance, but I decided not to look any further in and go in blind. And I do have to say, I overall think this is a pretty impactful film, though it is certainly a flawed film. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Well, my biggest positive is the subject matter. We are dealing with schizophrenia in this film, particularly, but it does a great job of representing and putting mental illness at a forefront in a more direct fashion than we've seen in many major films. The mental illness is definitely the highlight of this film. It is what we focus on, and more importantly, we focus on humanizing Adam, who has to live with this illness. There's a lot of really creative license that was taken in order to gain the effects and put you into an empathetic situation with Adam as we move through. Help the audience visually and conceptually understand just a bit of what somebody with this mental illness might be going through. And I thought overall it was quite effective, particularly as we move on into the third act. It was very effective, and I thought the visuals that took place were very effective. Early, different story, and we'll actually circle back around to that in the negatives. But I think it's a great conversation starter. It's a great film to see to kind of help open eyes and begin to break down that stigma. And the film itself and the script do a good job at really guiding that conversation and guiding the narrative that needs to take place. I also think our performances are really strong. Charlie Plummer is our lead in this film. I have only seen him in one or two other films that I can recall, and he's been strong in pretty much all the films I have seen him in, and he was great in this movie. It was really relatable, and it felt like a genuine human as we watched. Taylor Russell is another young and up and coming actor that I've only seen in a couple of things, but she's been great in every film I've seen her in, and she was certainly wonderful here. A really relatable character that certainly has her issues when it comes to the screenwriting process, but I think Russell herself delivered and made this a relatable character that you kind of bond with. But all of our supporting cast is also fantastic. Andy Garcia, Walton Goggins, everybody that plays a supporting role here is really fantastic. And I think the acting across the board is sympathetic, empathetic, and endearing to the material. And I have to say, it gets you invested and certainly gets you to kind of an emotional state in that third act. If you do struggle with any sort of mental illness, whether it's schizophrenia or not, or if you know someone who really struggles with mental illness, I think there is a lot to relate to in this film. And I found myself personally really getting transported into there and being able to relate to this person on that type of level. And and it was able to really transcend schizophrenia exclusive relatability. So what doesn't work so well when it comes to words on bathroom walls? Well, this movie definitely finds its footing as it goes because to begin, it starts off really rough. Almost the entire first act of this film felt like an after school special. This was much more along the lines of a really informative, kind of in your face, unsubtle TV special, if I'm being honest. Thankfully, by the time we get to that second and particularly the third act, it finds its groove, it settles in a little bit more, it's able to use the stuff it sets up in this first act to good effect, but you have to be a little bit patient as we get into the film. I also hated the narrative structure of this film. Oh, we have Adam at a therapist throughout the entirety of the film, and it was not needed, it was not wanted. We are sitting in the place of the therapist, and I hated that creative decision as well. Everything to do with his voiceover narration in that therapist's room was horrible. We get to a point of my life, we get into a point of like oppression Olympics style, like one upping in this film of people having problems and people having their own problems. And while I do think it's important to showcase how everyone has some sort of problem, but that doesn't negate your mental illness and the problems that come with that, I do think maybe there was a bit much going on there. And I do think overall the film is not necessarily subtle. I didn't love a lot of like the camera choices, if I'm being honest. And as we worked through that first act, particularly the side hallucinogens, these characters in his mind that are brought to life were a bit much and they felt way too on the nose, particularly in how he interacted with them. I was like, what's going on here? But again, it settles in. So most of my problems come early on because I think the heart and the intent of the film override more of the technical aspects that may have been lacking. Certainly not one of the most sophisticated films you're going to see this year. It's not going to be up for any awards, but I do think it is still an important and impactful film for teenagers at large to see, to be able to empathize with others or to see themselves in a humanized role on screen. And as I mentioned before, I think this will resonate with people far greater than just those who suffer from schizophrenia. So honestly, I think teenagers should definitely check this out. Obviously, if you struggle with mental illness or you're close to someone who struggles with a mental illness, there's a lot to get out of this film. And just at large, it's a touching enough film, it's well done enough, and it is effective in its message that I think this is one that you don't need to see in the theater. I don't think it not really deserving of the big screen treatment as it comes out in select theaters, but one that I would definitely recommend once it's available to rent at home. So that is my review of Words on Bathroom Walls. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Words on Bathroom Walls? And what is your favorite film that deals with mental illness? Let me know either in the comment section down below or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!